Well, welcome back to Modeling Time with me, Brian Banna. Well, you saw that I got the side frames done for unit 4351, and I'm almost done with the side frames for 4352. But I want to show you one of the cool details about the side frames on 4352. It's actually the signature detail that really sets off this unit. Now, it's only on the rear truck, but it's pretty cool. I've got one of them built, and we'll do the other one on the video. So this is the side frame. You can see there's a pipe that runs along the exterior face of the side frame. That's the sanding pipe. I don't know why they did that, but on unit 4352, they put the sanding pipe on the outside of the side frame instead of it being tucked up underneath the sill and then the sanding hose coming down from there. So I've got the other truck built except for that pipe. Now you've seen how I built the side frames and put all the details on. This is all stuff that you've seen. But now we'll build that pipe and we'll get that installed, and then unit 4352 will be done. So let me get things set up right here on the bench, and we'll start working on it and get this last side frame finished. So here's a better close-up of the side frame that is finished. And you can see the pipe. Where are my pointers at? There we go. We can see the pipe running down here. This is 22 thousandths brass wire. Now on this side, I tried using that, remember in the earlier video I told you about straightening wire and such? Well, this is a piece of straightened wire. This brass is really soft, so it took some time to get it, straight. I mean, you can straighten it, but it still has a very, very slight curvature to it, so it took some time of tweaking and bending. For this side frame, I'm going to use a piece of pre-straightened wire from Clover House, and I showed you that package before. But real quick, this is the what I'll be using. Number 247 is 22 thousandths wire, so I've got that going. Now I can't find where I put that piece of wire I just cut, but I'll find it when it's time. So anyway, so we're going to go ahead and make this. This is 2 inches long, so I need to cut a piece that's 2 inches long, and which I already did, but for some reason I can't find it on my workspace here. But I will. It's here somewhere. And then I need to center drill the ends so that I can solder in a piece of 12 thousandths wire so that this Miniatronics ultra flexible wire shielding will slip right over it. So let me get the camera set up over at the lathe, and we'll get these ends drilled out. Alright, so here's my lathe. I've had this thing, I think, since before I was in high school. I think my dad got it when I was maybe 7th or 8th grade. But it found its way to me, and I use it quite a bit. So, I did find my wire. It was rolled off onto the floor, of course. But it's 2 inches long, exactly. So we're going to slip it into there. Tighten it down a little bit. There we go. Now I have a, what is this, a 1/64th milling bit in here. I have to take very small cuts, otherwise this bit just snaps right off. I think I've broken about 5 of them over the last couple years. So I'm going to move this in real close. Let me zoom in here. There we go. Hopefully you can see that better. Oh, a little too blurry. There we go. Alright, so let me turn the light on. if that's better. So I do put oil on. This is just regular motor oil, Mobil 1. So I'm going to put a little bit of that on the tip. And there we go. I'm going to take very, very small. Come back, put some more oil on it. Turn that off and get that burr or that metal chips off of there. Get my toothbrush out here. There we go. Put some more oil on there. And that's it. So you see how I do the center drilling. So I'm going to flip this wire around and do the other side, and then we'll get the pin soldered in. Alright, so you saw how I center drilled the 22 thousandths wire. Now there's several reasons why I use a milling bit when I center drill these. One, it has a thicker or larger diameter shank, so it holds in the tailstock much nicer and much firmer. Number two is it's stiff. Unlike a jobber bit that's small, it won't flex, so I can keep it going in straight. And I think that's about it. Just two reasons. Like I said, if I used a jobber bit, there's a chance that it'll wobble a little and stuff. Oh, and number three, I don't have to center drill or use the what do they call that thing? Yeah, center drill to start the hole, because the milling bit is so stiff it won't wobble off of center, and I don't have to worry about the hole being off center. So those are the reasons. So now we're going to solder in the 12 thousandths pin. So I have some 12 thousandths wire here, and I've roughed up the ends with a diamond file, and I cleaned the burrs off and made it nice and clean. So I'm going to dip that into some old gooey Radio Shack flux. I'm going to stick it in the hole. There we go. And get my soldering iron over here. I'm going to pick up some solder on it. I'm going to hold this wire as straight as possible. And that's it. That's all it takes. So now what I'll do is I will clean up this end here with my diamond file. Well, let me zoom out a little bit. Just going to go in here and clean this up. Get the flux off of it. Get this solder piece off. And the hole is slightly larger than the wire, so the solder will suck down into it and hold it nicely all the way around. Now I'm just going to come over here and cut this off approximately at 100 thousandths long. I'm just guesstimating. There we go. And I'm going to straighten it. Just turn it, and you can see where it's not straight. There we go. And there we have the pin for one end. So I'll go ahead and get this one soldered on, and we'll move to the next step. Alright, so I've got the bracket, I've got the pins soldered into the ends. I've roughed up the entire length of the pipe because I need to now solder brackets in place. And if you can see this, I've marked on here in black pen where the brackets will go. One here, here, and here. And I got those locations because I already had them off of this one. Here, here, and here. So I've done the annealing of the 12 thousandths brass wire, and I've done the flattening. I've showed you that before. So anneal the wire by passing it through a flame. I held this wire in the flame a little bit longer. I wanted it really soft, and I got these pieces. I can pick them up with these crappy tweezers. I got these 3 pieces, and I've got a piece of 22 thousandths wire right here that I'm going to bend them around. So 2 of them are going to go all the way around circular, and this last one, the one that goes on this one here, this one here needs a tab on it, so I'm not going to cut the tabs off. I'll cut the tabs off of this one and this one, but I will not cut the tabs off of this one. And you'll see why when I get to assembling it. So right now we're going to make 2 round ones and 1 with a tab. So I'm going to slip this wire, or this flattened wire, underneath. I am going to get a piece of tape out, which I should have already had out. Sorry about that. Doing this makes the videos longer, and I really apologize about that. Move those out of the way. I'm going to tape that down to hold it in place. Take my little chisel blade here, hold this wire in place, and I'm going to bend it around. Get my tweezers out here. Now you want to make sure you bend it right over the top of the other piece of wire. And then just squeeze it around the wire. Alright, now I need to cut those tabs off. So I'm going to use my flat chisel blade, and I'm going to hold this wire tight against the other wire, and I'm going to cut that. There we go. Should have heard that snap. Now I can take this off. Take this off and slip this ring off this piece of wire. So there we have a little ring. I don't know if you can really see that on there. So we're going to take that and we're going to slip it onto our pipe. And that one I'll just run right down to the end down here. or to that middle one. There we go. Now we'll do the ring for this one. So I'm going to put a piece of tape over that again. Get me a piece of flattened wire here. Put a piece of tape down over that. Get the chisel blade out again. I'm going to roll this around. That. There we go. Looks like it still has its little leg on there. That one didn't cut off, so I will just easily take my chisel blade here. I thought I heard it snap, but it must have been the top piece. There we go. Alright. Now we're going to slip that one over this. Like that. And now we'll make our last one. Now you'll notice I only put a short little leg out on this back side. Well, maybe you didn't notice that because you can't really see it in the camera. But I didn't want it to overlap this piece here. So now I don't have to cut anything. Just press it around there, and now it's time to bring it off. And we have that one there. Now, that one I'm not going to put on the piece of pipe just yet. Put that aside so I can probably lose it. There we go. Now we need to solder these in place. So let me get another piece of tape out here. There we go. So let's see, we're gonna see if I put this on camera. Let me move the camera down a little bit, or the camera, there we go. We'll do the soldering right there. So, I'm gonna squeeze that around there. Gotta make sure it's on the black dot. Where's my black dot? There it is. So we'll put the black dot up. I'm going to put that right on the black dot. Put my piece of tape there. Just squeezing this this opening a little bit tighter. Alright, now I need to move this off this black dot just a little bit. Put some flux on there. All around it. Push that back over the dot. There we go. Now, I don't know if you can see it in the camera, but you'll notice where the two pieces of flat wire, or the two ends of the flat wire come together, it creates a little peak. Don't worry about that. We'll take care of that after it's soldered. I'm going to take a little solder here. And that's it. Now what I have to do, and I have to do this off camera because I have to hold it in my hands and clean it up, but I'll be using a triangular diamond file, and I'm going to get right up next to the collar and get that solder off, and then I'm going to round off where this peak was, where the two ends came together. So we'll have a nice round collar all the way around. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and you'll see what it looks like when it's done. So there's the first bracket collar. Now when I clean up this collar, I'm going to put it on video. I should have done this one because there's a tip I want to show you on how easy it is to make sure you clean this up nice and sharp. So in the next one I will show you the cleanup. But let me go ahead and solder this one on. I'll do it the same way, and then I'll come on and show you the cleanup. Right, so I got this collar soldered on, or this bracket collar soldered on. So first thing I do, take a flat file, and if this gets off screen, I'm sorry because I got to get it round, but I just go in and round it off. And just roll it. Okay, now you'll see there's a little bit of solder that came out the edge. This side's nice and sharp, but there's a little bit of solder that came out the edge. To get that sharp again, just this is the tip. Just take your X-Acto knife, cut into the collar, and just cut the solder out. Like that, and then I take the triangular diamond file and just go in there a little bit at an angle. And that takes care of the middle collar. Now what I need to do for this end is put that piece on that has the bracket on it. So what we're going to do is I need to orient this thing properly. So this is the side frame, the rear side frame on the right hand side. So it's going to start up, so this is the step well over here. So it's going to start up high here and go down low there. So I need to orient this piece so that the bracket, the straight length of the bracket, is on the outside. It looks like it opened up a little bit, but I'll squeeze that around. So it should go on this way, like that, I think. Let me see. Yes, should go on, oops, sorry, should go on that way. So the side frame will be like that. So because this flat piece is the bracket that goes up against this part of the side frame, this part that sticks out. So I'm going to leave that like it is, and I'll get that soldered on just like I've done all the other ones. All right, so there's the bracket soldered in place. Now this pipe is going to be sitting something like about there. Now there's some modifications that have to be done to this side frame because it's actually not molded correctly. You see these little wings that come down like this? That's not supposed to be there. These should just come straight across and blend. There shouldn't be this sharp angle right here. They should just blend in, but I'm not going to worry about it. This one I have to take off in order for that pipe to fit across here properly. So this one will be modified. So next we need to make the brackets that go into these collars. And to do that, I made this little piece of styrene. It's very, very precision, as you can see. Fits right down in there. And the thing that I need to do first is make sure that I orient this the right way for the drilling. So I have to drill through these collars. So that's going to go that way. So I need, let me look at this one. They need to come off the back. So if the collar's going that way, they need, the pins need to come off of this side right here. So let me get that set up and we'll do the drilling. All right, I figured out which way it needs to go. So this bracket needs to be at approximately a 45-degree angle to the center. Because when this pipe goes on, I need to bend it up a little bit to get it into position. So let me just rotate this out a little bit more. There we go. Right there. Tighten it in. Now, what I need to do is I need to center drill these things. I got my scriber here, or what I call my center punch here, sharpened really good. And I'm going to find the center of this thing. Now you'll notice why I have this piece of plastic in here, so I can push down on this without it dropping in. There's one. I have to make sure it goes on the top so it doesn't want to roll. Now I take a 12 thousandths drill bit and I make sure, now I'm tilting this and then I'm going to straighten it. And that should have taken it all the way through. Yep, going into the plastic. Okay, that one's done. Now we need to do this one. I don't like the way that one's starting. Alright, that one should be down the center now. So I can prickle it a little bit better. This happened on the last one too. The second one just didn't want to go. Get a good punch started. I don't want it to go down the side of the pipe. I want to go through the middle of the pipe. I wonder if I broke off the tip of this drill bit. I think I broke off the tip of the drill bit. So let me get a new one on there. Well, I didn't break off the tip of the drill bit. It was just a really hard piece of brass to get the bit through. So I had to go to a jobber bit. It was a little bit more stiffer and chuck it up really tight into the pin vise and get it in there. So now, moving along, we're going to solder. Take this out of here. We're going to solder a mounting pin. There we go. I'm going to take a little bit of flux on this side. Now what we have to do is we have to hit this really fast so that I don't desolder the collar. So I have a really hot iron here. You take just the smallest amount. And that's it. That's what it takes. Now I'll just basically cut one side of this pin off, clean it up, and we'll have a pin to mount into the side frame. So I'll go ahead and get this one soldered in and get this one cut off, cleaned up, and then we'll move to mounting it onto the side frame. Okay, so I've got the pins soldered in and the bracket. I had to desolder this bracket and rotate it. I had drilled these holes in the wrong place in orientation to the flat bracket. I did it backwards, so I desoldered and rotated. Now, the way that I did the first one, this one here, I just kind of winged it and it worked out. Of course, now I have to do the second one, and thank goodness I only have to do two because these are a pain in the ass. So anyway, I remembered on the first one, this first mounting hole was even with the bottom of this casting hole and in line with this edge here. So I drilled that hole, and from there I located this hole. And the way I located this hole is because I have to roll, once I mount this thing, I have to roll it up so that these mounting pins are at a slight angle. Now if I would have done that, put everything in line where this bracket or this pipe ends on this end, it wouldn't have worked. So I remembered again that this mounting hole was even with the top of this casting hole, basically. That way, when that puts the pipe right about the top of the journal. Now when I roll this up, it's going to put this pipe right here where it's supposed to be. Now you can see I carved out this area here and I blended this down so that the pipe can run right along the inside of that, and I can glue it there and then glue the bracket up here. So when I roll this pipe, this flat bracket should now go flat up against this piece here. So let's see how it works. Oh, before I do that, let me, off screen here real quick, straighten this pin at the end of the, there we go. I had to straighten that pin out right there. So let's see how this works. So this pin goes in this hole. I clean these holes up a little bit so they might be a little tight, which is okay. Now, a little tip, when you're doing multiple pins, your first pin you want long, the second pin you want slightly shorter, so that when you put the first pin in, the second pin's not going to be in the way. So put that one in there, that one in there. Okay, now the way this runs is it's out wider on this end. Let me zoom back a little bit. The pipe is out wider or further away from the side frame on this end and up close on this end. So let's see now. So what I need to do is I need to get this one down a little bit more. This one down a little bit more. Oh, that's too close. Alright. I need this one down just a little bit more. Okay, and this one up just a little bit. There we go. And now I got to roll this over. And you see how now the bracket's right over that. Now, unfortunately, it's hard to get things exactly the same. And you'll notice on this side, the bracket's out more towards the end. It's because I accidentally soldered this pipe back here, but I already had everything in place before I really noticed what I was doing. So there's a little hiccup right there, but I think it'll be okay. This pipe needs to be approximately at the top edge of the side frame. So I'm going to turn it this way real quick, and I got to bend it a little bit more. Whoop, push it in the hole a little bit more. There we go. Bend it. A little bit more. Looking down it to make sure the pipe's straight, which means this pipe here. Sorry if I'm off screen, I'm just making sure everything is straight. And there we go. That takes care of it. Now I'll glue that down to there. Let me just a little bit of fiddling here. There we go. And that's basically it. So I'm going to glue that to there. Once this gets all set up and dry, we'll come back and we'll put the finishing touch on it, put the hose in place. Well, excuse me, I've got the pipe glued in place. I let the glue set down in here. So here's glued two places, underneath the pipe here and on this bracket. So that's taken care of. Now I've got basically all the side frames done for unit number 2, 4352. Last thing we need to do is put this hose on the end. So this is Miniatronics ultra flexible wire, and I think I showed you before, you know, what I got to do is I got to strip out the insides. So we strip the shielding off there, take some flat nose pliers and grab and squeeze really hard and just pull all the wire out. There's a little couple strands left back in there, and let me throw this away. Okay, so now I want this end to be nice and squared off, so I'll take a pair of scissors and just cut that. And we will, now we'll slip this on there, but what I want to show you real quick is, you see the natural curvature of this? You want to make sure that that goes with the curvature that you're intending to end up with. If you put it a different way, it's not going to want to bend nicely. So you want to go with the free flow of the curvature. So I'm going to put this on the end here. And these don't need to be glued on. As long as the pins are long enough, they don't need to be glued on. Now, what I want to do is you want a nice flow to this curve. You don't want it to look like it's kinked or anything like that. So I want to actually pull this off. And you notice I put a little pre-curve into that. I want to put a little bit more into that. A little bit more curvature into that. There we go. Let's get this hose on there again. Alright, now let's see how our curve is going to go. It's going to look a little bit like that. Take some scissors and we're going to cut it right there. Now we just need to dump that piece off. Need to just take this end of the hose. You don't want to squeeze it too hard. You don't want to ruin the roundness of the hose, and stick it on just like that. And there, the side frame is finished. Now if you wanted to, you could put a little dab of thin CA there and there, but it's not necessary. This isn't a part that you're going to be handling, and it's very firmly in place there, so everything is going to stay just fine. Now let me zoom back here a little bit. So there's the rear of the right side, there's the front of the right side. This is the rear of the left side, and here is the front of the left side. So unit number 2 is done being constructed, 4352. All I need to do is grit blast all of this and then paint it black, put it aside, and start working on 4353. Now, for 4353 and 4354, I don't need to show anything. Everything is standard construction, just like this. You have 2 side frames that have this type of piping, and you have 2 side frames that have this type of piping. So the front left will look just like this. I'm sorry, the front left. The front right will look just like this. The rear left will look just like this, except it'll have this pipe on it. And the rear right will look just like this, but it won't have the speed recorder on it. So I don't need to do a video on those. I'll get those done, get them painted black, let them sit for a little bit, and then we'll put the silver on them. And we'll put we'll get the weathering done on the wheels. The wheels are painted now. I think I showed that in one of the videos. So that takes care of building the side frames for 4352. I really think these are going to look really cool once it's all in place and weathered, and the sanding hoses are in and stuff. I like that a lot. Well, that takes care of 2 units now. I only have 2 more to go, and I think those will go pretty quickly. The build or the construction of those side frames is really basic and stuff. There's one thing I wanted to show, a little tip, and I keep forgetting about it. So let me do that right now. It's really easy. So this is a unbuilt side frame. This is for the 3rd unit. you got 3 holes in the journals for the journal caps. This is for people that are building undecorated models. And sometimes when you put these journal caps on, they don't seat all the way against the face of the journal. That's because on the back side of the journal cap, on some of them, there is a very, very small fillet where the flange of the journal cap meets the pin that goes into these holes. Very easy. First, install those. Do not glue them in. Press them down, and if they pop back out a little bit, you need to just put a very, very small chamfer around the face of this hole, and they'll seat perfectly. I just want to let you know that in case you're running into something like that and say, why aren't these journal caps seating? So that's why. So that takes care of this video. Hopefully I won't have to come back and show any little tips and tricks for the next trucks or side frames. I don't think I have to do that. And the next video should be finishing up these side frames and getting everything installed on the gear towers and getting the trucks completely done and ready to go in. So if you made it this far, again, thank you very much for your support. I really do appreciate it. Take care, and I'll catch you in the next video.